In today's video, we're going to be talking about how Bryce Mitchell just did an interview with the Mac Life and some other interviewers, and they just reviewed. Most of the questions weren't even about MMA. I think there were barely even 2 questions about the fight. Like, this is not politics, this is MMA. This is meant to be an MMA interview talking about the fight, not Bryce Mitchell's comments. And it's like the interviewer from the Mac Life, Oscar Willis, was just trying to put Bryce Mitchell in bad positions, asking him questions, saying he asked Bryce Mitchell if he still thought everyone was dirty, filthy perverts, which he then responded saying, "Come on, brother. Yes." But obviously, he elaborated, but I'm not going to go into that. But it was clear they were just trying to get clicks and views for their YouTube and to try put Bryce down, or to try and make him apologise for his views, which I don't agree with all of his views, but he's a grown man and he can choose what he believes. The interviewers are just trying to one-up Bryce, get him in bad positions, getting him saying things they know will get people annoyed at him and get the UFC annoyed at him. This was the whole reason Ariel was banned from events, trying to put words in fighters' mouths, asking them these types of questions. And nothing, they shouldn't be getting away with this. This is not politics, this is MMA. They should have been MMA questions. Another interviewer said that he's not going to sugarcoat things and that it's Bryce's fault everything's happening, which is, Bryce said what he said, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion. He said that in the interview, and then the interviewer said that, Dana said that he was the dumbest human being on earth. And what has Bryce learnt from this? Trying to get Bryce to apologise for his actions or backtrack on what he said. And trying to get clips and views for his podcast. And then he asked why Bryce posted a clip talking about his views on gays and IVS and how they shouldn't be parents, and how he should not have posted this because of how he knew this would get backlash, and but this has nothing to do with the fight, and he's questioning Bryce on these topics and trying to get his views. This isn't like a Sean Strickland. Bryce isn't going off on these topics. The interviewers are specifically asking these topics themselves. This shouldn't be allowed in the UFC. They should be banned from events in the future. Obvious what he's trying to do. He's trying to get clips. He's trying to get clicks. And he's trying to get Bryce to either say something worse or apologise. When he's a grown man, he can choose how he acts. He can choose how he raises his kids. And he lives in America, where freedom of speech is I'm pretty sure it's the first it's the first thing in the amendment, and it's an enforced right. It's an enforceable right. But then the next interviewer asked him about Natan Levy, which is an inter-Israel fighter who trashed Bryce when he made those comments. But it's like, why are you even asking him this? This has nothing to do with the fight. Where are the Gene Silver questions? Where are the what are you gonna do? Where are the questions that should be asked? Why are they asking about Natan Levy? But then Bryce flipped this on his head and said that he loves Natan Levy because Natan Levy loves Jesus, and that they had a conversation and that he understands that Bryce does not hate any specific group of people, and that he wishes more people were like Natan Levy. Even in the description, it says Bryce talks about his recent comments. Why? This should be Bryce talks about Gene Silver, talks about the upcoming fight. The second thing is Gene Silver's attitude towards him. It's the second thing. It's not even the first thing. We ask a couple questions about Bryce and the fight and Gene Silver, but they try and make it seem like Bryce is just hating on Gene Silver for no reason. Gene Silver was obviously putting on an act at the press conference. Bryce doesn't see this, and he believes that he is beating demons by beating Gene Silver, and he is going to do this. I'm still picking Gene Silver to win this fight, but Bryce is looking more and more like a pick every single day. They were talking about that Charles Jourdain fight, and it's a truth that Gene Silver got taken down by Charles Jourdain, who is not a grappler, who is not a wrestler, and he won. He did win by knockout. Fair enough. I put my hands up. But Jourdain is not on the level of Mitchell. But they asked one question about this. There were no follow-up questions. There were no more questions about the things we need to know. MMA Guru literally did a better interview with Bryce Mitchell than these interviewers. It is their job to interview, and MMA Guru is doing a better interview with Bryce Mitchell. I'm sure if you ask Bryce Mitchell which interview he preferred, he would say their MMA Guru interview. Why? They are coming at Bryce aggressively, trying to get him to backtrack on his takes, trying to get clicks, trying to put Bryce in a bad position with the UFC, talking about how Dana says he's the stupidest person and all of this. Bryce is saying, yeah, Dana's allowed his opinion. He's allowed to view that. He's allowed to think that, which he is. Dana's a grown man. He's allowed to think that. He doesn't have to change his views, and that is what Bryce is saying. And they are trying to make it seem like Bryce is such a bad person, trying to put words in his mouth, trying to ask questions that don't need to be asked, really don't need to be asked. Why are they asking questions about the clip he posted about gays and IVF? That has nothing to do with it. This is nothing like Sean Strickland, where Sean Strickland is unprovoked going off on it. Bryce Mitchell is getting asked these questions, and mainly these questions, not even about the fight. This needs to be dealt with. This needs to be stopped. We are an MMA sport. This is not politics. We do not need our fighters answering questions about politics. They are fighters for a reason. They are not politicians. Even though most politicians are bad people and worse than fighters, way worse than fighters. But they are fighters. They do not have the experience and the knowledge to be answering these questions, and they don't need to be. If they want to, they can go on a podcast and say their views and their opinions. And Bryce has done that, and he got backlash for that, which is fine because everyone is allowed their own opinions. But these do not need to be asked at an MMA UFC 314 interview. Why? Tell me, am I wrong? Am I just freaking out about nothing? Are these fair questions? In a bit.